page muted, get the bot in here, and get our Discord posted. So, should be good. Let me make sure that I have audio and good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is December 11th, and this is the December 11th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be continuing our work with implementing Fmod into our game. And to start, we are going to finish up real quick our work on the Fmod sound collection. I have added support for adding sounds, so we can search for an event. You'll see that it pops up, it populates the event and all of that. We can choose what type we want it to be. Pretty much it's always going to be effect. It's probably not really ever going to be music, at least not for a while. And then we can hit add sound. That clears our sound event, so we don't have to worry about it, clearing that and then selecting a new one. You can't add a sound if there's nothing to add. And when we do this, you'll see that it automatically populates the event path. It does not populate the name, but that's fine because honestly, I'm probably gonna name them after the fact. So this would be like Castle Torch, and you can see that that goes into effect. Now I don't have this really functioning quite to the extent that I would like. Like obviously we can populate all this, we can delete things as well. There's no problems there. But there is the issue of sorting that I need to solve. And there are a couple of other nice little features that I want to just get in there real quick before we move on to actually getting sound IDs to draw and all that sort of thing. So first things first, I suppose we should go ahead and actually let's open up Fmod. I'm gonna add one or two other sounds. Let's go to Unity, TextQuest, Audio, Fmod, grab this, come back here, we're going to open up TextQuest. Okay, so as of right now, we have our castle event, or for our torch, and I suppose I will go ahead real quick and add an event for, I don't know, what would be good? Let's just get some keys, actually, like key jingles. So let's go to items, overworld, we'll go to the cabin, create a new folder, we'll call these keys. Actually, no, that's probably going to go in the shared now that I think about it. Right there. So I can actually delete that. And actually we have these ones already, they exist, so let's just go ahead and add some sound effects to this. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and do Control-3, that pulls up our audio bin. You can see that we have one for fire already. I'm going to go ahead and add a new folder. Items, new folder, I'm just going to call this keys. Alright, let's look for key, see what we get. Alright, so we're going to have some audio, obviously, so I'm going to probably not talk as much while we figure out a good one. Those are locking. I'd prefer to have... Oh, not that. There's not a lot of jingle. I bet this is not going to get me anything useful. Let's try key again. I might just use this one. Oh, we can use half of that actually. Okay, this... should I do that on stream? Nah, that's going to hijack my microphone. Alright, so I'm going to just go ahead and drag this in as is. I was debating if I should modify it inside of Adobe, not Acrobat, not After Effects, Audition. I had to go through all the A's. But whenever I open that up, it like just takes control of my audio devices, and that makes Unity stop working appropriately, which is very annoying, so I don't want to do that on stream. Hello, Awkward Cyclops. Welcome back. How are you doing tonight? Alright. So, I bet I could... Oh, you know what? I bet I could actually do this directly in Fmod. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to drag this into here. Let's close this. Move this. Can I? Yes, I can. Nice. So let's go ahead and I was going to say zoom in. Oh, that was not it. Hold on. Ah, dang it. I can't remember how to scroll inwards. There we are. I think. Ah, right. I forgot it's based on this timeline. There we go. That makes things a little bit easier. So I can probably drag this to about here. Oh, right. Hold on. So this is the sound that it would play whenever you take the keys. Probably. Ah, dang. So probably what we need to do is like do this. Let's try moving this in a little bit more. Okay. I wish it didn't have the weird like da 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 part, but whatever, it works. So let's go ahead and that's already assigned to our master bank. We can create that. Let's just real quick create some pitch adjustments. So okay, that's a bit much. Hold on. Let's adjust that. Let's try 8. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so that is our audio for picking up a key. So now we have 2 different events. Let's go ahead and, honestly, it's probably going to be the same sound effect for all of those 3. So we're just going to let those 2 serve our purposes for now. Let's go ahead real quick. I'm going to rebuild. That'll bake out all the audio. Let's go back here to Unity. I'm going to assign those events. So we have our intro sound effect. We have our torch. Let's go ahead and add sound. That adds all that. Let's go ahead and add a new one. Item, shared keys, key take. Let's say add sound. Nice. And let's go ahead and rename this. So we're going to say keys for now. And then we're going to rename this one to be called torch. And you'll notice that it's not sorting alphabetically, which I would like it to do. So I'm going to have to figure out how we want to do that. Let's see. I think I might know what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and jump back in real quick to our fmod sound collection editor, which I'm sure I can find. Fmod. Really? Fine. Fmod sound collection editor. There we are. Excited I can finally tune back in? Well, I'm excited to have you. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to adjust our editor a little bit. Specifically, we're going to make it so that if it will let me deselect things, it apparently does not want to. All right. Specifically, we're going to make it so that the ID field is not editable because there's no real reason for it to be editable. I like to have it for visual confirmation of IDs, but I don't need to edit it because it should be a unique ID. And that gets generated when I make a new sound by basically creating a new GUID, and then it grabs the hash from that. So let's go ahead and... oh, you know what? I bet that's going to be my fmod sound custom drawer, so let's find all references. We're going to go to... here we are. And here we're going to say bool cached GUI is equal to GUI.enabled, and then we're going to say GUI.enabled is equal to false, and then after this we're going to say GUI.enabled is equal to cached GUI. Okay, so that solves the ID field, but we still need to solve our sorting problem, which probably means that I'm going to have to do this. So we have value is equal to false, and all I'm going to do is just say if editor, hold on. Let's say editor GUI dot begin change check, and I really hope this works. If editor GUI dot end change check, then we'll say value is equal to true. Okay, so that I think should have it sort. I'm a little concerned that it's going to have it sort as soon as I type anything and not after I like hit enter on that field. Just because if it tries to sort as I'm typing, it becomes unwieldy and I can't do anything with it. It needs to wait until I finish typing in order for it to sort properly. So let's see if that works. And if it does, then I think we're basically done with the sound collection, and we can move on to actually getting sounds to play in game. All right. Let's go ahead and clear that. And we have our IDs. Oh, look at that. It's sorted, but that's probably because I found it, or I clicked on it, and it sorts whenever I hit enable. So I'm going to rename this to A torch, which still did not do it. Interesting. So you didn't detect a change. Huh. All right. That was not what I was hoping would happen. So does that mean that you didn't detect it? Let's go ahead and throw in a debug there. Debug.log test, just to see if that comes out as we expect, and then we should be able to know if the delayed field is causing a problem. And the reason that I didn't want to do the whole like GUI check is because I don't want to have that sort function be called anytime I edit any of those fields. I really only care about the name, but I can't selectively do that in a property jar, which kind of sucks. So we'll see. It's not a huge deal if I can't, because it'll auto sort whenever I click off of it. It's not the end of the world, but I would prefer that it actually behaved itself. That would just be a nice touch. Cool. So we do get it sorted, but I'm guessing it's just not reflecting it yet. Yeah. So it's one of those fun things where the editor is just not keeping up with it. Well, that sucks. There's not really a good solution to that. Oh. Oh, you know what? I bet I could probably do this. Sounds dot array size. I bet that would help. Because then we're not looking at it. Well, no, that shouldn't matter because we were doing it this way anyway. Well, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Like I said, it's a relatively minor thing. And it's not super worth wasting my time on it trying to figure it out. But it's more of a personal matter. Like I wish I could do it. Oh, I do need to actually. I'll let that compile. But I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, oh, look at that instance limit of 3. That should. Oh, it's because you didn't. Of course not. Okay. This instant limit shouldn't be 0 because then I can't really. Well, I guess 0 means that it's unlimited, but let's go ahead and clear this, and we'll just live with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this like 3, 3. Let's go ahead and make a test script. So we're going to want to have. Select the scene asset. We should, of course, it's not going to. I was going to say I wanted to make a script here, and I guess I kind of can. That'll be fine. I'll delete it after the fact. So create C# script. I'm going to call this fmod test. So we're going to test out our custom property drawer for fmod sound ID. Make sure that that works. And once we have that, then we'll try requesting a sound from the fmod sound manager, and we'll see what we can, if we can get that to behave as we would expect. So this is going to be in TextQuest. Okay, we're going to say fmod sound ID. Yep. Then we're going to say private int ID is equal to 0. That's all fine. Then after that, we're just going to say private. Let's go ahead and say using system.collections. We're going to make this an IEnumerator start. That way, I can just do a yield return new wait for a second, not wait for end of frame. Wait 4 seconds, and we'll just have it wait 3 seconds before it plays a sound. And after that, we'll say fmod sound manager dot play. Oh, it's going to be play fmod, and then it's going to take an ID. Right. Oh, and I guess we'll have it go there. All right. So with that, it should play the fmod sound. Let's go ahead and let that compile. I need to make some objects real quick and some prefabs. So this is going to be our fmod sound manager. We are going to need to make our fmod sound source. Okay, frozen as it compiles. So I'm going to take a drink. Alright, so that's our fmod sound manager. We need to make our prefab here, and for now we can actually add one of our fmod sound collections. That should give us access to the ID itself, or to the various sounds that we've created for fmod. We don't need to worry about collections. We do need to make this our fmod sound source. Alright, fmod sound source. What did I do? Also, cat, what do you want attention for? So we're going to clear this. There are a couple of things. One, I need to edit this, because it shouldn't be adding audio source components. Instead, this should be, what is it? It's like event emitter. There we go. That's what we want. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and remove that and remove that. And in addition to that, I do need to make my test, which is going to, I guess, let's remove that. Let's go ahead and apply our fmod test. Ooh, that's not a good sign. Yeah, okay, that's never a good sign. Did I not save it? Oh, that's why. Because it's private. I didn't serialize the field. Of course it's not going to work. Alright, so let's try this again. Mod sound source, good. And what are you mad about? Don't destroy fmod sound manager. Oh, how interesting. Really? Alright. So it's basically mad because I'm calling don't destroy on load while in the editor, which is fair, but it also shouldn't matter. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and say go get sound IDs. I know this is actually going to return the wrong list of sounds anyway, so I need to change that. But application that is playing. I guess I should do this then. Not that. There we go. And okay, so we only want to do that if application is playing. We don't care about all of this, so let's let that compile. That should fix our problem, I think. let's see. So I'm hoping by the end of today's stream to have fmod sounds playing in Unity arbitrarily, like we can easily call them with simple ID dropdowns. That's going to make my life a lot easier in terms of pulling down data from Google Sheets to populate my items, because I won't have to. Hold on. All right. Yep. Almost. Hold on. Right. So we want this to be get fmod sound IDs and then get fmod sound names. Let's see. Fmod instance. That's all fine. All right. So I think that's everything we need. Let's let that compile. I can't actually do anything with it until it actually finishes compiling. That's the problem with editor scripting in projects. If you have a broken editor, it stays broken until the code you changed actually compiles, which makes it frustrating to even look at objects to see values. So let's clear that. Go to inspector, sound source, so close. Still mad about that? That means that manager is non-existent, which is weird because I put it right there. So why are you unhappy? So line 36, which is right there, which is fine. So manager is just empty, which is curious. So, let's see. So are we getting, no, we're not getting a warning or anything like that. That's interesting. It should log this value out. But it's not, which means that it thinks that there's a manager, which is interesting, but it's not able to find it, which is weird. Okay. Oh, well, this could probably be it. Kind of, but not really, since those are doing the same thing. But oh, well, actually, no, that would actually make sense. Yeah, it was probably that. So it wasn't that the fmod sound manager was missing. It was that the sound ID conversion was wrong. That makes sense. What am I working on today? I'm working on fmod integration. So I'm going to try to get audio to play, not through Unity's built-in audio system, but through the fmod middleware solution. And that just lets me do stuff like what you saw a little bit earlier, where I can have a sound that it's hard to hear. But you can hear like the pitch changes every time I play it. And it's the same audio file. All it's doing is handling some automatic adjustment in variables to make it more dynamic, to make it more interesting. So I'm going to hook into this system inside of Unity to make my audio feel a lot more interesting, just by virtue of you getting slightly different sounds every time you do the same action. So it means instead of, if you punch a wall, you're not just going to hear thump, 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 the same thing every time. You're going to hear slight variations. It's just a way to make the audio scape a little bit more interesting. All right, so let's clear that. Let's go back here. Let's try this one more time. Hooray! So we have no sound ID, which is not as good as I would like, because we totally have a sound collection in here with fmod sounds. So let's go see what this is doing. Sound IDs, new list, c dot, here we are. So we're going to say fmod sounds. Hold on. Oh. What are you called? Oh, wait. Did I really do that? That was stupid of me. Hold on. Collections. No. Then why are you mad? What are you? Oh, there we are. It's collections. So this should be our fmod collections. Duh. Okay. So I probably should go ahead and copy that a bunch of times. Let's find out where that's being used. Make sure that I didn't miss any more. All right, good. So it was just those two spots. So let's let that compile real quick. So now we should get our proper dropdown. It should let me select from these two sounds, and it will show us the name for each one. So it'll show us keys and torch. Man, need to stretch. It's only been half an hour and I'm already tired. Well, not tired, but cramping up, I guess. Need to have better posture when I'm sitting. I'm bad at that. All right. And cacao right there. Let's go ahead and debug. You can see that it has our ID value there. So this approach should make it a lot easier for me to just populate my spreadsheet with actual human readable names and not complex int IDs or ridiculously long, prone to breakage event names. So this will be a lot easier workflow wise for me. So now we need to go ahead and make this a prefab. So let's go down to here. I'm going to put it all in here for now because I'm terrible when I'm doing tests. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to put this down here. All right. So in theory, I guess I could probably populate this. So here's our sound effects group. I don't think we need a sound source. So in theory, I should be able to just hit play, and then it should, hold on, I need the fmod sound listener on here. Let's see, event, studio listener. All right, so now if I play, we should be able to, let's go ahead and make it a torch, that's fine. So we should have nothing for 3 seconds, and then we should hear the torch go. If everything works properly. Which, you know, when has it ever not worked properly for me? All right. I'm a little worried, actually, that it's going to, yeah, backfire. Post-process layer was the problem? What? 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 I guess I could turn you off for now. That's fine. Sure, why not? Let's just go ahead and let that go. I'm going to turn off maximize on play. We're going to keep an eye on our hierarchy to see if we can see the audio come in to make sure that it actually does. There we are. Find fmod. Go to definition. So I'm going to assume that this is not finding. Well, no, it didn't log that out. So interesting. Did it spawn in at least? No? Okay. Let's see. fmod sound manager 221. 221. That's our fmod. Okay. I mean, I'm hoping that it's not this. Let's go to peak definition real quick. Yeah, first we search through for the entire scene. Right. Jeez. All right. That's not great, but it's not the end of the world. So I need to real quick jump over to my scenes. We're gonna go over here to our splash fade. Yes, I will save. All right. So we're gonna grab our game manager and our sound manager, and I guess I'm gonna make this a fmod or an fmod sound collection. Fmod sound manager. Sorry. Okay. So we want this to be our sound effects. We want this to be our sound source prefab, which I guess I could rename audio. Now that I think about it. That will let me move this back into there, actually. Okay, we're gonna go back here to our sound manager. We're gonna apply our sound source. We will go ahead and say 1. We'll plug in our test case here. Let's see, 111. Let's go ahead and add in all of our collections. Don't think I need that one, but whatever. Okay, so now that should all be there. It should all be the same. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. I'm going to just hit apply. Okay, so now that should spawn in our fmod sound manager instead of the default one. That was our problem, by the way. When it was spawning in our sound manager, it was using the old version of it, which is not an fmod sound manager, so we were getting a null reference. I'm hoping that was it, and that this will fix it. So, let's see. And all right, that's working. Not the best sound in the world, but it's working. It is going to loop forever, which makes sense because, you know, the fmod that it's playing is set to loop. The downside to that is cleanup. How are we going to clean that up? So I have no way currently of knowing how long an fmod sound is, but that's not the end of the world. Fortunately, my fmod sounds should clean themselves up still. I'm going to switch this over to keys, and we're going to hit play. So now we're not going to hear the torch. I'm going to have to be quiet because it's going to be a very soft sound, but we're going to listen for the key, and then we're going to see if it recycles properly. Assuming it ever plays. All right. Okay. So it did play, and it recycled, as we would expect. So cool, that's working. That's nice. And it did play it. It doesn't clear it, which is that's fine. Cool. So we are officially playing fmod sound effects wherever we want. We can do that now. So I no longer need that. We can get rid of it. But now we need to test this. So how do we want to handle this? First up, come over here. Let's go to my drive. Not you. I hate it when it does that. Drive has a problem occasionally where it'll like, it's gonna do it again, isn't it? Okay. Where sometimes it doesn't load all the folders properly and then it like pops them. So like a bunch of them move in at once and it's like, oh, well, I just double clicked on the wrong folder. God, we get some pretty bad sticking for some reason. All right. So we're gonna go to design. Let's go to interactions. And I think we actually already have something for the keys, which is what I was gonna do. So let's go to items. Keyring, I believe, is what we want. All right. So let's go ahead, open up our level. Props, keys, I'm going to turn this on. We're going to focus up over here. So what I would like to do is I would like to get these keys playing some audio when you take them. So that means that for now, because my verb stuff is not quite actually ready for prime time, we're going to be using the old output audio stuff. Or we're going to be flying blind by the seat of our pants, which is going to be interesting. So let's go ahead and jump back here. So we're going to go to... Oh no, that's fine. I was going to say, like, this is a bit old, but I don't think it is. So we need a field to put audio in, which is right there. All right. And I think that's pretty much all we actually need to do. So let's go ahead. I think right now it's just called keys, right? No, right. Yeah, you're going to be mad. Let's go to, let's remove this component, and I can actually delete you because I don't need you anymore. And I should have done that last so that it didn't freeze on me, but I was stupid. And it's already frozen on me. Come on, let me find it. Aha! Yes, so it's just called keys. So in theory, I should just be able to do this. I should be able to say keys. And I only want this to play when I take or drop these. So I'm going to say keys. Actually, it doesn't matter because I can't drop them. They're impossible to drop. Because as soon as you get them, it splits into multiple keys. So I just needed to play the audio right here. And I suppose I'll just download a new one. So let's open up our sidebar. We're going to do all sheets, replace existing files, collapse single row sheets, that's all fine. I can try my fancy Numenify data thing. Let's do export cell arrays, that's all good. Yeah, that does get more complicated. Nah, it's fine. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to export that. So this will output a JSON file that then I can pull into Unity to make all of my associations as expected. Let's go ahead and download this. God, there's so much. Go ahead and download that. All right. Let's show in folder. And before we do anything there, I am going to find our keyring here. Let's say show in Explorer. Let's go ahead and replace this. So you can see right here that the old file has better indentation. That's because it's using human readability printing. So this file will be a little bit smaller. That was 8 kilobytes. Oh, dang it. I didn't see what they were. Oh, well. So you can see it's going to get like super compressed. But it's much smaller this way because it's not doing a lot of human readability formatting, and I don't really need it to. So, all right. Before I hit update here, I need to actually go through and go to my... Let's get rid of some stuff here real quick. Sound collection editor, sound manager. All right. So let's look for interactive object. All right. Interactive object and inspector, I think, is what I'm going to need. So draw buttons, which is going to have my update here. Then we're going to say update object, go to definition, which itself is going to parse all this JSON. Let's go to definition. I think I'm going to need to go to the verb.fromJSON before I do anything else. Yep. Is info. What are you? Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So we're going to go to definition. There's our JSON. We're going to go ahead and say from JSON, go to definition. This will populate everything, and what I want to do is find my audio where that's getting generated, because we have to change this a little bit. Let's see. New output. Outputs, here we are, output audio. So with output audio, I believe it's... Yes, I don't even need to change the output audio portion. I just need to make this be an event or fmod sound ID instead. That works pretty well. So I don't need to do anything there, but I do need this. So instead of sound manager, I want this to be fmod sound manager. And then we're going to say fmod sound. And then we're going to say fmod instance dot find fmod. All right, all right, all right. Okay. And now I can go over here and we're going to find our sound ID here, find all references. And the only thing that I need is, yep, pretty much just this. So we got to change this to fmod sound manager. Oops. Fmod sound manager dot play fmod. Cool. That's all we need to do. So we're going to let that compile. And before I do anything else, let's go ahead and drag in our scene. If I could find it. Here we are. Splash fade. So I need to drag this in. Unfortunately, my stuff does depend on fmod, or well, fmod sound manager being in the scene, which means that I need to either drag the prefab into the scene, which can be tedious, or I have to drag the entire original scene in there, which is also tedious and perhaps more so. But it means that I don't accidentally leave my game manager in a scene that it doesn't need to be in. So we're gonna let that load in. Then I can come up here. We're gonna say clear. I'm gonna go ahead and hit update. Good, we got some problems. That did not go the way that I thought it would. That makes me think that there are problems. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and go to collaborate real quick. I'm gonna revert my file change. So I'm gonna revert that. That should bring it back to the old, like, human readable format. Let's double check that just to be sure. Yep. Okay, let's try updating there. Cool. So that's not great. Whatever. Let's go ahead and call this keys. And I'm actually just gonna go ahead and cheat. I'm gonna manually edit this. Let's see here. Verbs, take, audio, keys. That makes me wonder if this output then was always going to be wrong, or if the minify did that. That's not great if it's breaking stuff. Oh, yeah, that would totally be why. Because I didn't do this. Duh. So now that's going to completely change the output. Yep, there we go. That's much better. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say close. Was I using nested elements? No. Then why do you have anything? Whatever. Let's go ahead, come back here. Let's hit update again. We have our keys. Our position is just going to be itself, so we don't care about it. All right. I believe, let's see. Let's go to output audio real quick, position. So if you do not have anything, you are not going to use itself, which is not great. Perhaps I should make this a I can't. Oof, gross. Fine. Maybe I should populate that automatically. Let's go ahead real quick and interactive object inspector. It's interactive object, new verb. Okay, go to definition again. We're going to come back over to here and we need our, that won't work with the verb either. Well, that sucks. Okay. I was hoping I could automatically populate this transform value, but it will not work. So we're going to have to just like drag that in, which sucks, but whatever. should also probably come back over to here and say, you're going to try to parent it, aren't you? Which is not necessarily what I want. So we're going to say false there. If it's parented to the object when you pick it up, if it tries to play the sound, then it's going to get cut off when the object gets disabled. So I need it to go to the position of the object, but I don't want it to be parented to it. If it's parented, it'll be disabled when its parent is disabled, which is how you get the awkward sound cutoffs, like, and it just sounds wrong. So we have to be careful of that. But this should play, in theory. So I should be able to walk up to these keys, type in take, and then it will play our audio. If it will let me. Okay, let's go ahead and hit clear. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to remove our splash fade scene because we don't actually need that. Let's go ahead and hit play. Test this out. All right. So you can see our Fmod Studio debug showing up at the top left. Let's go ahead and hit take, and yes! So we do have it playing audio. We have it playing Fmod audio specifically, which is nice. And it recycles itself as expected, which is also nice. So let's go ahead and stop playing. And I think that's honestly all we really needed to do. So there are some quality of life improvements that we can make. Let's see. So if we select our keys. I mean, this is fine, I guess, in terms of how it looks. Excuse me. I would really love to be able to set its position by default, so I might try to figure out how to do that real quick. Position. I'm going to go ahead and say right-click, find all references. That should give us this. Can I pass in audio like that? Honestly, does this verb know about itself? I bet it does not. It definitely does not. That sucks. Yeah, there's no real association here, so I can't really do anything. Okay. I'm not sure what a good way to populate that position by default would be, which makes me sad. Because the only thing I can think of is passing in the transform for the game object into the from JSON section, which really is not acceptable. I really don't want that to be the case. Find all references, find out a pen, interactive object utility, not format output. That's not useful, is it? It's not. So, random question. Is your goal to always be a small indie company, or do you have a dream to be a big company like Blizzard or something? I don't think I ever really want to get nearly to be as large as Blizzard. I think I'm probably closer in line with people like Ken Levine. I'm not trying to say like I'm on their level, obviously, but like I value more intimate projects, for lack of a better phrase, where I can have much more control over it. Because you can, with small teams, nowadays produce games that are still ridiculous in quality. Like, even though I wasn't a huge fan of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, like the production quality of that was very impressive, and it shows what a small team can do when they have the tools and the talent. So I think staying a small developer would just let me be a lot more nimble and let me work on projects that I find personally interesting. Um, Whereas working within a framework like what Blizzard has, you just get so locked down with design decisions that might not work out in the long run, and it makes it very hard to pivot. Or you might have executive meddling, which is always the worst thing for a project. Well, not always, but usually the worst thing that can happen to a project. So I don't really have plans to become something quite on the scale of a large company like Blizzard, just because it would, I feel, be too constraining. Ironically, having that much success would at the same time just mean that you have so much that you have to manage. That's not part of the game. Like at that point, you have to worry about things like payroll and all that. And that becomes way too business side of things for me. So small team makes it much easier to maneuver, I feel. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Well, first things first, actually, because I want to just test this, I want to see if this minify option will work as I expect. So I'm going to go ahead and say export again. Let's get rid of this. I just want to see if I can properly update this without worrying about the minification data. Because it would be nice to have files that are slightly smaller. So you can see that the original keyring JSON was about 11 kilobytes. The new one, when it's minified, is 8 kilobytes, which is only 3 kilobytes smaller. And that doesn't seem like much, but keep in mind that by the end of this, I'll have hundreds of those files, which, 300 kilobytes is, well, that's 100. That potentially would save me about a megabyte of file size just in the long run, which is, again, not a lot on modern computers, but, why bother having the extra megabyte if you can squeeze it out? Although with compression, admittedly, it probably goes down to something like 50 kilobytes, but whatever. All right, so I'm going to try updating this again just to see if it works. It's not a good sign. Now I'm actually really concerned that my export process is borked somewhat. So let's turn off minify data and export that and see if that fixes it. Because that could be problematic if this is not working as I would expect. So let's go ahead and download that. It's entirely possible that I was dumb when I made this. Like, I don't know why these have empty values. That's not super great. Let's go ahead and jump back here to Unity. Pop these things open. Grab this. Put it back in there. Hit that. And let's try updating it again. Okay, so that's really not good. That is legitimately a problem. That means I need to know why these two things are different and how these two things are different. So I'm going to check that out real quick. Just because this is going to be very quickly a problem if I cannot update my files very easily. So let's see what the difference is here. There's not a lot of difference. Let's try opening them both up. I'm going to see if their length is the same. So it's about 420. So the new one is a few lines longer, which is interesting. Word checks, item checks, required items. Funny enough, the new one is actually more correct in the sense that word checks, item checks, and required items come out as arrays, whereas the old one, they came out as objects, which kind of makes sense, but that's fine. We don't have to worry about that. I am not really sure what the difference is here between presumably everything else is the same, like up at the top. I think they look the exact same. Oof. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this one over to the left. So I'm going to be looking at this at both of my monitors just to see if I did something stupid. So plural names, it's empty, default couple keys, info, names, plural names, description, text, color, adjectives, ignoring groups, burn info, burn type, ID, these are all the same structures, and values, this all makes sense. ID is keyring, default, never, none, false, 1, none, hand, 0, blah, blah, blah. Verbs. Okay, so everything seems to be correct here. Again, the only difference is that the audio is filled in on the new one. I'm assuming these are all pretty much going to be the same. So let's go ahead and jump back in here. The only thing I can think is that the end is throwing things out of whack. Item checks. Well, it does look like these are different. So the old one has item checks instead of obtainable items. So to show you what I'm talking about, you can see that this data in the old one is contained in item checks, whereas in the new one it's contained in obtainable items, not item checks, which makes sense because obtainable items is obviously the items that you can obtain from an interaction, whereas item checks is items that you check against for specific interactions. We have item, key rusty, we have the verb. Looks like we have some extra information. That could be why. All right. I'm kind of curious. So, because their data should be the exact same, essentially. Let's go ahead and collapse all of this. All right. So I'm going to drag in keyring 1. We're going to hit update. Well, we're going to clear this first, and then we're going to hit update. There we are. Oh, right. Fmod is not going to like that, because of course it's not. Let me pull in my scene again. I guess I should specify it's not Fmod that didn't like it, it was my Fmod manager, which was my class. So let's go ahead and clear this. Interesting, that didn't clear our verbs. Okay then, sure, why not? We're going to hit update. And it did not work. Oh, okay, that time it did. And everything seems to be correct, but now I'm a little worried that it's kind of messed up. The fact that it's not clearing my verbs is super weird to me. Well, hold on. I'm going to go to... Where are you? We don't need you open. We don't need you open. We don't need you open for now. Interactive Object Inspector. We're going to go to Update Object. Go to Definition. Follow-up question. Sorry, I just noticed that. Hopefully that wasn't too long ago. Is presenting at E3 the goal of most companies, or is that more of an invite thing? E3 is more of a marketing thing nowadays. Like E3 is what the big companies in video games go to kind of like entice you to their games. That's why they show off a bunch of trailers, a bunch of gameplay demos, because you usually can't buy the games that are being shown at E3 because they're not out yet. So it's more of a status thing presenting at E3. It's not so much like a goal you strive towards. It's more of an opportunity that you take, I guess, when you have the money and you want to do that more conventional approach. As far as more, I guess, prestige in terms of game development, that tends to fall more on the GDC side of things, where you go to give talks to other game developers who will want to ask you questions about the systems you came up with, or the design approaches you took, or the audio techniques you used, because that's more of a in the industry type event. But in terms of like prestige, E3 is more of like a big marketing thing, I feel, more so than like achievement. I guess is how I would, or an achievement type deal. Anyway, so I need to go to, so I'm going to go to update object, which should call reset object. Go to definitions, which does not clear my verbs, which is apparently by design because I commented them out. And I'm willing to bet I know why. I definitely know why. It's because of, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So the reason that it doesn't clear my verbs is because whenever I'm updating, sometimes there are transformation values, like transform values, that have to be preserved so that the new values can reference those old values. So I can't clear my verbs actually when I do that. That's a little frustrating. I suppose I should go ahead and say, let's find all references here. And I'm going to say bool clear verbs is equal to false. We're going to let that go. And then I'm going to uncomment this and say if clear verbs. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to go ahead and add a new GUI layout button here. And I'm just going to say if GUI layout dot button clear. Hold on. New GUI content. Clear is what I'm going to call that. And then I'm actually going to rename this one to reset. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and say new GUI content. And we're going to come up here and say new GUI content. This is just a newer way of handling button labels. It lets me do tooltips, so if I hover over the button, it'll show me a little bit of text. So I'm going to say update. I'm going to say update the values of this object using the target JSON file. Clear most values on this object. Object excludes verbs. There we go. And then we're just going to say, grab this. Call this clear interactive object. It's going to pass in true. All right, so that should add another button up here now that will let me do like a total wipe. So I won't have to worry about it. Learning so much. I wish I could say that I was teaching people more about the actual process I'm using for this, but you know, talking about the industry as a whole is also nice. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and clear this out. Wow, really? Right.